Taiho woke before dawn as he did every day. The small room he called home was cold. The heating system had failed again. He pulled his thin blanket tighter around his shoulders and watched his breath form small clouds in the dim light. At 16, Taiho was old enough to remember a time before the domes. Before the Ryong came. He had been just 6 when the massive ships first appeared in the sky. 10 years had passed since then. 10 years of hiding. 10 years of fear. The last human settlement on Earth housed barely 5,000 people. They lived beneath protective domes that kept out the toxic air and shielded them from detection. Or so they hoped. Taiho dressed quickly in his worn clothes. His work shift in the hydroponic garden started early. As he pulled on his boots, a sharp knock came at his door. "Taiho, are you awake?" The voice belonged to Elder Jiwoo. Taiho froze. Why would an elder come to his room? Elders never spoke to orphans like him unless something was wrong. "Yes, Elder, I'm here." Taiho opened the door. Elder Jiwoo stood in the hallway. He was tall and thin with gray hair and tired eyes. Behind him stood 2 security officers. "You need to come with me," Elder Jiwoo said. His voice was flat, but his eyes wouldn't meet Taiho's. "Have I done something wrong?" Taiho asked. His stomach tightened with worry. No, nothing like that." Elder Jiwoo forced a smile. "You've been chosen for a special mission." "It's a great honor." Taiho didn't believe him. In the settlement, special missions were never good news. But he had no choice. The security officers moved closer. "What about my garden shift?" Taiho asked. "Someone else will cover it," Elder Jiwoo said. "This is more important." They led Taiho through the quiet hallways of the residential sector. Few people were awake yet. Those who were turned away when they saw the group passing. Their faces showed a mix of relief and guilt. They entered the council building, a place Taiho had never been allowed before. The halls were cleaner here, the lights brighter. They took him to a small room with a metal table and chairs. "Sit, please," Elder Jiwoo said. Taiho sat. The security officers remained by the door. "I'll be honest with you, Taiho," Elder Jiwoo said, taking the seat across from him. "Our situation has become desperate." "What do you mean?" "The Ryong have found us. They contacted the council 3 days ago." Taiho's blood ran cold. Everyone knew about the Ryong. The dragon-like aliens had appeared 10 years ago. They had destroyed most of Earth's major cities in what people called the Burning. Billions died. The survivors hid in places like this settlement, always afraid of being found. "What do they want?" Taiho asked, his voice barely a whisper. "They demand a tribute," Elder Jiwoo said. "One young human. They say if we provide this tribute, they will leave our settlement alone." Taiho understood immediately. "And I'm the tribute." Elder Jiwoo nodded slowly. "The council had to choose someone. We needed someone expendable." The word hit Taiho like a physical blow. Expendable, because he was an orphan, because no one would miss him. "So you're sending me to die," Taiho said. "We're saving 4,999 lives," Elder Jiwoo replied. His voice hardened. "Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good." Taiho wanted to scream. To fight, to run. But where would he go? The world outside the domes was toxic, and the security officers blocked the only exit. "When?" he asked. "Today. Now." Elder Jiwoo pushed a small cup across the table. "Drink this. It will make the journey easier." Taiho stared at the cup. "What is it?" "A sedative. The Ryong will collect you at the North Airlock. This will keep you calm." Taiho's hand shook as he picked up the cup. He had no choice. He drank. The liquid was bitter. Within minutes, his vision began to blur. His limbs felt heavy. "I'm sorry, Taiho," Elder Jiwoo said, his voice now distant. "If there had been any other way." But Taiho knew there had been other ways. They could have fought. They could have hidden better. They could have sent an elder instead of a boy. They could have asked for volunteers instead of choosing someone expendable. As darkness closed in, Taiho felt himself being lifted. They carried him through more hallways. He heard the hiss of an airlock opening. His last conscious thought was anger. Not at the Ryong, but at his own people who had betrayed him. Taiho dreamed of dragons. Massive creatures with scales that shimmered like metal in the sun. They flew through clouds of ash and fire, their wings spanning the sky. In his dream, one dragon turned to look at him. Its eyes were not the eyes of a monster. They were intelligent, curious, almost human. Taiho woke with a gasp. His head pounded. His mouth was dry. He lay on a smooth, cold surface that hummed with energy. This was not the settlement. The air smelled different, clean but strange. The light was wrong too, softer with a bluish tint. He sat up slowly. The room around him was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls curved in impossible ways. They seemed to glow from within. There was no visible door, no windows. Just smooth, flowing surfaces that reminded him of water frozen in mid-motion. "Where am I?" he whispered, though he knew. He was on a Ryong ship. He had been delivered to the aliens as a sacrifice. A section of the wall rippled and opened. Taeho scrambled backward until he hit another wall. His heart hammered in his chest. A figure entered. It walked on two legs like a human but was taller, at least 7 feet. Its skin was covered in fine scales that shifted color as it moved, from deep blue to purple to green. Its face was narrow with high cheekbones and large, slanted eyes that glowed amber. A crest of what looked like metallic feathers ran from its forehead down its back. This was a Ryong, the enemy, the destroyer of worlds. Taeho pressed himself against the wall, trying to make himself smaller. He waited for pain, for death. Instead, the Ryong stopped several feet away and made a gesture with its long-fingered hand. The air between them shimmered, and Taeho felt a tingling sensation wash over him. "Do not be afraid," the Ryong said. Its voice was deep but clear. Somehow Taeho understood the words, though he knew the alien wasn't speaking English. "You're going to kill me," Taeho said. His voice shook. The Ryong tilted its head. "Why would we kill you?" "Because that's what you do. You destroy, you burn. You kill humans." The Ryong made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Your elders have told you many things. Not all of them are true." It moved closer and knelt to be at Taeho's eye level. "I am Daehyun, commander of this vessel." "What is your name?" Taeho hesitated. Would giving his name grant the alien power over him? But what did it matter now? "Taeho," he said. "Taeho," Daehyun repeated. "Why did your elders send you to us?" "As a tribute. A sacrifice. So you would leave the rest of them alone." Daehyun's eyes flashed. "They sent a child as a sacrifice? Without explaining why we requested a human?" Taeho blinked in confusion. "There was a reason beyond. Eating me or whatever you do?" "Eating you?" Daehyun made a sound that might have been laughter. "We do not eat humans, Taeho." The Ryong stood and made another gesture. A section of the wall became transparent, revealing stars. They were in space. "Your elders misunderstood our purpose, or perhaps they chose to misunderstand." Daehyun turned back to Taeho. "We have been searching for someone like you for a very long time." "Like me? I'm nobody." Taeho swallowed hard. "Expendable." "No," Daehyun said firmly. "You are not expendable. You are precious beyond measure. Stand up, Taeho." Slowly, Taeho got to his feet. Daehyun approached him and placed a device on Taeho's forehead. It stuck there, cool against his skin. "This will not hurt," Daehyun said. The device hummed. Taeho felt a strange sensation, like fingers gently sorting through his thoughts. Then the device beeped and fell into Daehyun's waiting hand. The Ryong looked at the device. Its eyes widened. Then, to Taeho's complete shock, Daehyun knelt before him and bowed its head. "It is as we hoped," Daehyun said. "After all this time, we have found you." "Found me? What are you talking about?" Daehyun looked up at him, eyes glowing with what seemed like joy. "You carry the royal bloodline, Taeho. You are not a sacrifice. You are a prince." Taeho stared at Daehyun, certain he had misheard. "A prince? That's impossible. I'm just an orphan from the settlement." Daehyun rose to his full height. "Your understanding of yourself is incomplete. Come with me." The wall rippled open again, revealing a corridor beyond. Taeho hesitated, then followed the Ryong. What choice did he have? The hallway was like nothing Taeho had ever seen. The walls pulsed with soft light that followed their movements. The floor seemed to adjust to his steps, making walking effortless despite his fear. "Where are we going?" Taeho asked. "To the command center. Others must confirm what I have discovered." They passed more Ryong in the hallway. Each one stopped and bowed deeply when they saw Taeho. Their scales shifted colors in patterns that seemed to express surprise and excitement. Taeho felt dizzy. Just hours ago, he had been a nobody, selected to die because no one would miss him. Now alien creatures were bowing to him. The command center was a vast circular room. A huge window showed the stars and in the distance Earth, a blue and brown sphere partially covered in clouds. Taeho had never seen his home planet from space before. It looked both beautiful and broken. Several Ryong worked at stations around the room. All activity stopped when Daehyun entered with Taiho. "Commander," said one Ryong, stepping forward. "Is this—" "Yes, Minho," Daehyun said. "The genetic scan confirms it. He carries the royal markers." Minho's scales rippled with blue light. He approached Taeho and bowed. "Prince, we have waited generations for your return." "I'm not a prince," Taiho insisted. "There's been a mistake. I'm human, not Ryong." "The two are not as separate as you believe," said Daehyun. He gestured to a large circular platform in the center of the room. "Please stand there. It will help explain." Taiho cautiously stepped onto the platform. Immediately, light surrounded him. Images appeared in the air. Strange symbols, DNA strands, and what looked like ancient star maps. "Long ago," Daehyun began, "the Ryong Empire spanned many star systems. Our royal family carried special genetic markers that allowed them to activate our most powerful technologies. But there was a civil war. The royal family was hunted. The last prince escaped with loyal guards. They fled to a distant, primitive world." "Earth?" Taeho whispered. "Yes. They crashed on your planet over 12,000 years ago. The prince was badly injured. He knew he would die, so he shared his genetic material with the early humans he encountered. He hoped that someday, when the Ryong found Earth again, the royal bloodline would still exist." The images around Taiho changed to show ancient cave paintings of dragon-like creatures descending from the sky to meet humans. "Your myths of dragons come from those first encounters," Minho added. "The prince and his guards were welcomed as gods by early humans. But as they died, the truth was lost. Only legends remained." Taiho shook his head. "If you've been looking for this bloodline, why did you attack Earth? Why kill billions of people?" Daehyun's scales darkened with what seemed like sadness. "We did not attack your world, Taiho. That was a terrible misunderstanding." Another Ryong stepped forward. "I am Hyejin, science officer. When our scout ships arrived 10 years ago, your military leaders assumed we were hostile. They launched nuclear weapons at our vessels. Our defensive systems automatically responded. The burning was not intentional," Daehyun said quietly. "By the time we understood what had happened, much of your world was in ruins. We have been searching the survivors ever since, looking for the royal bloodline." Taeho stepped off the platform, anger rising in him. "So billions died because of a mistake? And now you expect me to believe I'm some long-lost prince?" "We do not expect you to accept this easily," Daehyun said. "But the evidence is in your blood. Show him, Hyejin." The science officer touched controls on her wrist. A hologram appeared showing 2 DNA strands side by side. "This is standard human DNA," Hyejin explained, pointing to one strand. "And this is yours. See these sequences? They are not human. They are Ryong royal markers, dormant but present." Taeho stared at the display. The differences were clear even to his untrained eye. Parts of his DNA glowed with the same blue light as the Ryong scales. "What does this mean for me?" he asked finally. "It means you are the key we have been searching for," Daehyun said. "Only someone with royal blood can activate the ancient defense systems we will need." "Defense against what?" The Ryong exchanged glances. Daehyun nodded to Minho, who touched controls on a nearby console. The view of Earth disappeared, replaced by images of darkness moving between stars. The darkness seemed to swallow light itself. "We call them the Void Eaters," Daehyun said. "They have destroyed many worlds. They are coming to this solar system. Without the ancient defenses, both humans and Ryong will perish." Taeho felt cold. "And you think I can stop them? I'm just a gardener. I grow food plants. I don't know anything about ancient alien technology." "The knowledge is in your blood," Hyejin said. "The royal markers contain memory sequences. With training, you can access them." Taeho laughed bitterly. "So that's why you wanted a tribute. You needed someone with this royal blood." "Yes," Daehyun admitted. "We have been testing humans secretly for years. When we found traces of the markers in your settlement, we requested one person be sent to us. We hoped your leaders would choose wisely. They chose me because I'm an orphan, because no one would miss me." Taeho's voice cracked. "They sent me to die." Daehyun's scales darkened again. "They betrayed you, but perhaps they did you a favor without knowing it. Here you will be honored, not discarded." A new Ryong entered the command center. This one was older, with scales that had faded to a pale silver. All the other Ryong, even Daehyun, bowed deeply. "Elder Sunho," Daehyun said. "We have found him. The old Ryong approached Taeho slowly. His amber eyes studied the boy carefully. So young, Elder Sunho said. His voice was like dry leaves rustling, and so much rests on his shoulders. I didn't ask for this, Taeho said. Few who bear great responsibility ever do, the elder replied. He reached out one long-fingered hand. May I? Taeho hesitated, then nodded. Elder Sunho placed his hand on Taeho's head. The touch was gentle, the scales smooth and warm. Yes, the elder said after a moment. The royal essence is strong in him, but it sleeps deeply. He removed his hand and turned to Daehyun. He will need the awakening ceremony. Is that dangerous? Taeho asked. All birth is dangerous, Elder Sunho said. And this will be a rebirth of sorts. The dormant parts of your nature will awaken. Will I still be me? Taeho's voice was small. The elder's eyes softened. You will be more yourself than you have ever been. The royal blood has always been part of you, Taeho. You will simply gain access to abilities and memories that have been locked away. Taeho looked around at the Ryong watching him. Their faces were alien, yet he could read the hope in their eyes. Then he looked back at the image of the Void Eaters moving between stars, consuming everything in their path. What if I refuse? He asked. Then both our peoples will likely perish, Daehyun said simply. But we will not force you. That is not our way. Taeho thought of the settlement, of Elder Jiwoo and the council who had sent him to die. They didn't deserve his help, but there were others. Children who had nothing to do with that decision. People who had shown him kindness over the years. If I do this, Taeho said slowly, I want something in return. Name it, Daehyun said. I want the truth told to all humans. About the misunderstanding that caused the burning, about why you really came to Earth, everything. The Ryong looked at each other. Elder Sunho nodded. It shall be done, Daehyun promised. Will you undergo the awakening? Taeho took a deep breath. Yes, but first I want to learn more about who and what I really am. Elder Sunho's scales brightened with approval. A wise request. Come, Prince Taeho. Your education begins now. As Taeho followed the elder from the command center, the other Ryong bowed again. This time Taeho stood a little straighter. Prince or not, he was no longer expendable. For the first time in his life he mattered, and that felt like a beginning. The next 3 days passed in a blur for Taeho. The Ryong treated him like royalty, giving him comfortable quarters with a view of Earth. His room was filled with strange but beautiful objects that responded to his touch. The bed adjusted to his body perfectly. The food, though odd-looking, tasted better than anything in the settlement. But comfort wasn't why he was here. Each day Elder Sunho came to teach him. Today we will learn about your heritage, the elder said on the third morning. They sat in a circular room with walls that could show any image. Currently they displayed the stars as seen from the Ryong homeworld. I still don't understand how I can be part Ryong, Taeho said. I look human, Elder Sunho nodded. The royal genes were designed to hide within human DNA. They wait, dormant, until activated. Designed? By who? By the ancient Ryong. Our people were masters of genetic science long ago. The elder waved his hand, and the walls showed new images. Strange buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like crystal trees. This was our capital city before the war. Taeho stared at the beautiful structures. What happened? Pride, greed, the usual causes of war. Elder Sunho's scales dimmed. A faction called the Purists believed the royal family had too much power. They wanted to destroy the genetic keys that allowed only royals to control our most powerful technologies. The images changed to show battles between Ryong ships. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. The last prince, Hanul, escaped with loyal guards. Their ship was damaged in the battle. They crashed on Earth 12,000 years ago. And Hanul shared his DNA with humans. Taeho asked. Yes, he was dying. He knew the Purist would eventually find Earth. He wanted to hide the royal bloodline where they would never think to look, in a primitive species. Taeho frowned. No offense, but that sounds like we were just containers. Elder Sunho's eyes crinkled in what Taeho had learned was a smile. At first, perhaps. But something unexpected happened. The royal genes bonded with human DNA in ways Hanul never predicted. They created something new. A hybrid with strengths from both species. What strengths? Ryong are powerful but slow to change. Humans adapt quickly. The combination created potential beyond either race alone. The elder leaned forward. That is why the Void Eaters are so dangerous. They adapt even faster than humans. Only the royal technologies can stop them. Taiho thought about this. These royal technologies, what are they exactly? The walls changed again, showing massive structures orbiting planets. They looked like giant rings made of the same crystal-like material as the buildings. Defense systems, Elder Sunho explained, created to protect our worlds from any threat. They draw power from stars themselves, but they can only be activated by royal blood. And you think I can control them? We know you can. The question is whether you will learn how in time. Taiho stood and walked to the wall, touching one of the images. How long do we have before these Void Eaters arrive? Less than 1 Earth month. Taiho's stomach dropped. That's not much time. No, Elder Sunho agreed. That is why we must proceed with the awakening ceremony soon. Taiho turned back to the Elder. What exactly will happen during the ceremony? Your dormant genes will be activated. You will gain access to memories and abilities passed down through the royal bloodline. Will it hurt? Elder Sunho hesitated. Yes, birth always does. Taiho nodded slowly. When? Tomorrow? But first, Commander Daehyun wishes to speak with you. As if summoned by his name, Daehyun entered the room. He bowed to Taiho, still a strange sight to the boy who had been considered worthless just days ago. Prince Taiho, I bring news from your settlement. Taiho tensed. What news? They have noticed your absence. There is but unrest. Some believe we have killed you. Others think you have betrayed them. Betrayed them. Taiho laughed bitterly. They sent me to die. Yes, Daehyun said. But they do not know we are aware of that. They told their people you volunteered for a diplomatic mission. Taiho's hands clenched into fists. More lies. We believe it would be wise to return to the settlement after your awakening, to explain the truth and prepare them for what is coming. The thought of facing Elder Jiwoo and the council made Taiho's stomach turn, but he nodded. I'll go. They deserve to know they sacrificed me for nothing. Daehyun's scales rippled with concern. Revenge is a poor motivation, Prince Taiho. It's not about revenge, Taiho said, though part of him knew that wasn't entirely true. It's about truth. You promised me that. And we will keep that promise, Elder Sunho said. But remember, soon you will carry both human and Ryong heritage in active form. You must find balance between them. Taiho looked back at the images of the defense systems. Will these really stop the Void Eaters? If activated in time, yes, Daehyun said. But there is something else you should know. He hesitated, exchanging glances with Elder Sunho. What? Taiho asked. The defense systems were not built only to destroy. They were designed to contain and transform. The Void Eaters were once a peaceful species before something changed them. Elder Sunho nodded. The royal technologies can reverse that change. Not destroy them, but heal them. Taiho blinked in surprise. You want to save the things that have been destroying worlds? All life has value, Elder Sunho said simply. That was the core belief of the royal family. Power should protect, not just destroy. Taiho thought about the settlement leaders who had sent him to die, about how easy it would be to hate them. That's a lot to live up to. It is your heritage, Elder Sunho said. Now you should rest. Tomorrow will test you greatly. After they left, Taiho stood at the window looking down at Earth. Somewhere down there was the settlement where he had grown up feeling worthless. Now he carried the hopes of 2 species. He wasn't sure which felt heavier. The awakening chamber was deep within the Ryong ship. Unlike the bright open spaces Taiho had seen so far, this room was small and dimly lit. In the center stood a pod filled with glowing blue liquid. This fluid contains activators that will unlock your dormant genes, Heejin explained. She handed him a simple white garment. Change into this. Taiho changed behind a screen, his heart pounding. When he emerged, Elder Sunho, Daehyun, Heejin, and several other Ryong stood in a circle around the pod. Are you ready, Prince Taiho? Elder Sunho asked. No, Taiho thought, but he nodded anyway. You must remain in the fluid until the process is complete, Heejin said. It will be difficult. You will experience memories that are not your own. The memories of Prince Hanul and the royal line before him. Will I still be me afterward? Taiho asked again. It was his greatest fear. You will be more yourself, Elder Sunho repeated. The royal essence will not replace you. It will complete you. Taiho took a deep breath and stepped up to the pod. The blue liquid glowed and swirled as if alive. He climbed the short steps and stood at the edge. We will be monitoring you, Eugene assured him. If there is danger, we will remove you immediately. Taiho nodded. Then, before he could change his mind, he stepped into the pod. The liquid was warm, thicker than water, but not unpleasant. It rose to his chest, then his neck as he sat down. Heijin handed him a breathing device. Place this in your mouth before you submerge fully. Taiho did as instructed. Then he slid down until the blue fluid covered him completely. At first, nothing happened. He floated, hearing only his own heartbeat. Then the liquid began to glow brighter. It seemed to seep into his skin, flowing through his veins like fire. Pain came in waves. Taiho would have screamed if not for the breathing device. His body felt like it was being torn apart and rebuilt cell by cell. Then the memories came. He was Prince Hanul, fleeing his homeworld as it fell to the purists. He was crash-landing on a strange blue planet. He was meeting primitive humans who thought he was a god. He was dying, sharing his blood with the humans who had helped him. More memories flooded in, knowledge of technologies beyond human understanding, star maps of systems no human had ever seen, the genetic codes that made the royal bloodline special. Through the pain and flood of memories, one thought kept Taiho anchored to himself. I am not just the prince, I am Taiho. When the pain finally subsided, Taiho felt different, stronger. His mind was clearer, filled with knowledge he had never learned but somehow knew. He pushed himself up, breaking the surface of the now clear liquid. The Ryong watched him with wide eyes. It is done, Elder Sunho said softly. Taiho removed the breathing device. When he spoke, his voice sounded deeper, more confident. Yes, he said. I remember everything now. He stepped from the pod, water streaming from his body. He felt the royal genes fully active within him. He understood now what he had to do. I need to return to the settlement, Taiho said, and then we must find the defense system. It's hidden on Earth's moon. Daehyun's scales brightened with surprise. The moon? We searched there. Not deep enough, Taiho said, knowledge flowing through him. Hanul hid it well. Only I can find it now. He looked at his hands. They looked human, but he could feel the Ryong strength flowing through them. He was both now, human and Ryong, boy and prince, and he had a world to save. The Ryong shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, its advanced cloaking technology hiding it from human detection systems. Inside, Taiho sat beside Daehyun, watching the clouds part to reveal the landscape below. Are you nervous? Daehyun asked. Taiho nodded. 1 week had passed since his awakening. His body had changed. He was taller now, stronger. His eyes had a faint amber glow in the dark. But the biggest changes were inside. His mind contained memories spanning thousands of years and knowledge of technologies humans had never dreamed of. They sent me away to die, Taiho said. Now I return as something they never expected. Remember, we come in peace, Daehyun said. Our goal is alliance, not revenge. Taiho knew this was true. The Void Eaters would arrive soon. Humans and Ryong needed to work together to survive. But part of him, the human part that had been hurt and betrayed, still wanted the settlement leaders to face what they had done. The shuttle landed in a clearing 2 miles from the settlement's main dome. Taiho, Daehyun, and 4 Ryong guards disembarked. They will detect us soon, Taiho said. The outer sensors reach this far. As if on cue, a siren wailed in the distance. Taiho smiled grimly. They know we're here. They walked toward the settlement at a steady pace. Soon they saw movement ahead. A group of security officers approaching with weapons raised. Stop where you are, shouted a familiar voice. Officer Junho, the settlement's security chief. Taiho stepped forward, hands raised. It's me, Taiho, I've returned. The security team faltered. Junho lowered his weapon slightly. Taiho? But you're... His eyes widened as he noticed the Ryong standing behind the boy. I was sent as a sacrifice, Taiho said loudly, making sure all the officers could hear. But I found the truth instead. The Ryong are not our enemies. This is a trick, Junho said, raising his weapon again. The aliens have brainwashed you. No trick, Daehyun said, stepping forward. We come in peace. We need to speak with your leaders. Junho hesitated, then spoke into his radio. After a tense moment, he nodded. The council will see you. But your friends must surrender any weapons. The Ryong guards handed over their devices without protest. Taiho knew they didn't need weapons. Their natural strength was defense enough. The group was escorted through the settlement's outer airlock and into the main dome. People stopped and stared as they passed. Some pointed at Taiho, whispering behind their hands. Others looked at the Ryong with fear and hatred. They told everyone I volunteered for a diplomatic mission. Taiho said quietly to Daehyun. Another lie. They were taken to the council chamber, a large room where the settlement's 12 elders made decisions. Elder Jiwoo sat at the center, his face pale as he saw Taiho enter with the Ryong. What is the meaning of this? Elder Jiwoo demanded, but his voice shook. Taiho stepped forward. I've come to tell the truth, Elder, about why you sent me away. About who the Ryong really are. About the danger coming for all of us. You were selected for an important mission, Elder Jiwoo began. I was sent as a sacrifice. Taiho's voice rang through the chamber. You chose me because I was an orphan. Because I was expendable. Murmurs spread through the room. Many settlement residents had gathered to witness this strange meeting. That's not true, another elder Suman said. We chose you because no one would miss me, Taiho finished. But the Ryong didn't want a sacrifice. They were looking for someone specific, someone with special DNA. He turned to address the crowd that had gathered. The Ryong came to Earth looking for lost members of their royal family. 12,000 years ago, their prince crashed here. He shared his blood with early humans. That bloodline has been hidden in human DNA ever since. This is nonsense, Elder Jiwoo said. But people were listening to Taiho now. The burning 10 years ago was a mistake, Taiho continued. Our military attacked their ships first. Their defense systems responded automatically. They never meant to harm us. Lies, shouted someone from the crowd. They destroyed our world. Daehyun stepped forward. We deeply regret the destruction. We have been searching for survivors ever since, hoping to find those with the royal bloodline. Why? Asked a woman near the front. Because something worse is coming, Taiho said. Something that destroys entire worlds. The Void Eaters will reach our solar system in less than 3 weeks. Without the Ryong's help, all humans will die. The room erupted in shouts and questions. Elder Jiwoo banged his gavel for order. Even if this were true, he said when the noise subsided. Why should we trust the aliens who nearly destroyed us? Because I've seen the truth, Taiho said. The royal blood in me has awakened. I have memories and knowledge passed down through generations. I know how to activate the ancient defense systems that can save both our species. To demonstrate, Taiho raised his hand. His fingers began to glow with blue light, the same color as Ryong scales. Gasps filled the room. What have they done to you? Elder Jiwoo whispered. They completed me, Taiho said. I am both human and Ryong now. A bridge between our peoples. A man pushed through the crowd. Minjae, one of the settlement's scientists. If what you say is true, why come back here? Why not just activate these defense systems? Because the systems are meant to protect all life, Taiho explained. Humans and Ryong must work together.
We need your help. And if we refuse?
Elder Jiwoo asked. Then you condemn everyone in this settlement to death, Daehyun said simply. The Void Eaters consume all life. They cannot be reasoned with or stopped by conventional weapons. Silence fell over the room. Taiho could see the fear and doubt on people's faces. They had spent 10 years hating and fearing the Ryong. Trust would not come easily. Then a young voice spoke up. I believe him. A girl about Taiho's age stepped forward. Jia, who had worked in the gardens with him. Taiho never lied, she said. If he says these aliens want to help us, I believe him. Others began to nod. Not everyone, but enough, Elder Suman stood. Perhaps we should hear more about these Void Eaters and the defense systems. Elder Jiwoo looked around the room, seeing support shifting away from him. This is a trick. The boy has been brainwashed. These creatures destroyed our world, and now they want us to trust them. No, Taiho said firmly. You destroyed my world when you sent me away to die. The Ryong gave me purpose and truth. He stepped closer to the council table. But I'm not here for revenge. I'm here to save lives, even yours. A commotion at the back of the room interrupted them. Officer Junho burst in, his face pale. Elders, our long-range sensors have detected something massive entering the outer solar system. Multiple objects moving faster than anything we've ever seen. Daehyun's scales darkened. The Void Eaters. They've arrived earlier than we predicted. Panic spread through the crowd. Elder Jiwoo stood, trying to maintain control. Everyone remain calm. We don't know that these readings are related to what they're claiming. Show us the sensor data, Taiho demanded. After a moment's hesitation, Elder Jiwoo nodded to Junho, who projected the readings onto the chamber's main screen. Dark masses moved between the planets of the outer solar system, leaving emptiness in their wake. Stars disappeared as the objects passed. That's them, Taiho confirmed. The Void Eaters. What do they want? Someone asked. Everything, Daehyun said. They consume energy in all forms, light, heat, life. They leave nothing behind. Elder Jiwoo's face had lost all color.
How long do we have?
At their current speed, less than 2 weeks before they reach Earth, Taiho said. We need to activate the defense system immediately. And where is this system? Elder Suman asked. Hidden on the moon, Taiho replied. I need to go there with a team of humans and Ryong. Together we can activate it. Elder Jiwoo looked defeated. We have no choice, do we? There's always a choice, Taiho said. Life or death, truth or lies, working together or dying alone. The council members looked at each other. One by one they nodded. What do you need from us? Elder Suman asked. Volunteers, Taiho said. People willing to work with the Ryong and... He looked directly at Elder Jiwoo. Honesty from now on. Elder Jiwoo met his gaze, then slowly nodded. I will tell the people everything. How we chose you. Why we sent you away. All of it. Good, Taiho said. Because we can only face what's coming if we stand together. Humans and Ryong as allies. He turned to address the crowd. I was sent away as a sacrifice. I return as a bridge between our peoples. Who will cross that bridge with me? Jia stepped forward first. I will. Others followed, scientists, engineers, even some security officers. Not everyone, but enough to begin. Taiho looked at Daehyun, who nodded in approval. The first step toward alliance had been taken. Now they needed to reach the moon and awaken the ancient defenses before the Void Eaters arrived. The real test was just beginning. The Ryong mothership approached the dark side of the moon, its massive form casting a shadow across the gray, cratered surface. Inside the ship's main hangar, Taiho stood before the assembled team, 20 humans from the settlement and 15 Ryong crew members. We land in 10 minutes, Taiho announced. Everyone remember your assignments. The past week had been a blur of preparation. After the confrontation in the council chamber, things had moved quickly. Elder Jiwoo had publicly admitted the truth about sending Taiho as a sacrifice. Some settlers still distrusted the Ryong, but fear of the approaching Void Eaters pushed most toward cooperation. Jia approached Taiho as the others checked their equipment. Are you sure about this? She asked quietly. What if the defense system doesn't work? Taiho looked at his friend. Jia had been the first to volunteer, despite having no scientific or military training. It will work, he assured her. I can feel it. Since the awakening, Taiho's connection to the royal technology had grown stronger. Sometimes he dreamed of the defense system, a vast network of crystal structures buried beneath the moon's surface, waiting for the royal command to activate. Landing sequence initiated, announced the ship's computer. Prepare for touchdown. The team strapped into their seats as the mothership descended toward a large crater. According to Taiho's awakened memories, this crater concealed the entrance to the defense system control center. The landing was smooth despite the ship's size. When the engines shut down, Taiho stood. Let's move out. They exited the ship wearing special suits that protected against the moon's harsh environment, while allowing full movement. The humans marveled at the technology, far more advanced than anything they had seen before. Taiho led them across the crater floor toward its center. The earth hung in the black sky above them, blue and white and beautiful. Somewhere up there, the Void Eaters were approaching, now visible to telescopes as dark patches that blotted out stars. Here, Taiho said, stopping at what appeared to be an ordinary section of the crater floor. He knelt and placed his hand on the dusty surface. Blue light spread from his fingers, seeping into the ground. The dust began to shift and move. The team stepped back as a large circular section of the crater floor slid open, revealing a tunnel that glowed with the same blue light. The entrance has recognized the royal bloodline, Daehyun said, his scales rippling with excitement. Taiho nodded. Follow me. Stay close. The security systems will allow you to pass if you're with me. They descended into the tunnel, which sloped gently downward. The walls were smooth crystal that glowed brighter as they passed. After walking for about 10 minutes, they reached a vast chamber that took everyone's breath away. The chamber was enormous, at least a mile across and nearly as high. Crystal columns rose from floor to ceiling, In the center stood a platform surrounded by floating rings of light. Above the platform, a holographic display showed the solar system, with dark masses, the Void Eaters, approaching from the outer planets. "It's beautiful," Gia whispered. "And ancient," added Minjae, the settlement scientist. "This must have been built thousands of years ago." 12,000 years, Taiho confirmed. When Prince Hanul crashed on Earth, his loyal guards built this in secret. They knew the Void Eaters would eventually find this system. Taiho approached the central platform. As he stepped onto it, the rings of light spun faster, and the holographic display zoomed in to show Earth and the moon. "What now?" Elder Suman asked. She had insisted on joining the mission, saying the council should witness what happened. "Now I activate the system," Taiho said. "But I need help." He turned to the assembled team. The defense system was designed to be powered by both Ryong and human energy. Prince Hanul believed that only by working together could our species survive. He pointed to smaller platforms arranged in a circle around the central one. 5 humans and 5 Ryong must stand on these platforms. Your combined energy will help power the system. Daehyun stepped forward. "I will stand for the Ryong." "And I for the humans," Gia said quickly. 8 others volunteered, 4 more from each species. They took their positions on the platforms, which began to glow as they stepped on. "What about the rest of us?" Minjae asked. "Monitor the system from those control stations." Taiho pointed to crystal consoles around the chamber. "Once activated, the defense network will need guidance." As the team moved to their positions, Taiho closed his eyes and connected with the central platform. Information flooded his mind: status reports, power levels, defense capabilities. The system had slept for millennia, but it was still functional. "The Void Eaters will reach Earth in 6 days, Taiho announced, reading the data in his mind. "We need to activate the system now to have enough time to power up fully." He raised his hands. The rings of light responded, spinning faster and expanding outward. Blue energy flowed from the 10 people on the surrounding platforms, channeling through Taiho. "I can feel it," Gia gasped. "It's like it's pulling something from inside me." "Your life energy," Daehyun explained. "The system uses it as a catalyst. It will not harm you." Taiho focused on directing the combined energy. The holographic display showed new points of light appearing across the moon's surface as long-dormant systems began to activate. "It's working," Elder Suman said, watching from a control station. "Sensors show energy signatures all over the moon." Taiho nodded, his eyes now glowing bright blue. "The defense network is waking up. But there's a problem." He frowned. "Part of the system is damaged. It needs repair before it can fully activate." "Where?" Daehyun asked. Taiho pointed to the hologram, which now showed a detailed map of the moon. A section on the far side was flashing red. "There. Something damaged the crystal array thousands of years ago. Probably a meteor impact. Can it be fixed?" Minjae asked. "Yes, but someone needs to go there physically to repair it." Taiho looked at the team. "I can't leave this platform until the system is fully activated. I need volunteers." Daehyun stepped off his platform. "I will go." "The system needs Ryong energy," Taiho reminded him. "I will take his place," said Minho, who had accompanied them from the mothership. Gia also stepped forward. "I'll go too. You'll need both human and Ryong to make the repairs, right?" Taiho nodded reluctantly. He didn't want to put Gia in danger, but she was right. "Take a transport pod from the east tunnel. The system will guide you to the damaged section." As Daehyun and Gia left with 2 other team members, Taiho refocused on the activation process. The remaining 8 people on the platforms continued channeling their energy through him. Hours passed. The defense system slowly awakened section by section. Crystal structures rose from the moon's surface, visible now from Earth as strange blue lights. Humans across the planet looked up in wonder, not understanding what they were seeing. In the settlement, Elder Jiwoo addressed the frightened people. "What you see in the sky is our hope for survival. Taiho and our volunteers are activating an ancient defense system to protect us from the approaching threat." Meanwhile, on the far side of the moon, Daehyun, Gia, and their team reached the damaged array. It was a massive crystal structure, partially collapsed into a crater. "The royal technology is self-repairing," Daehyun explained as they examined it. "But it needs the right energy signature to begin the process." Gia looked at the broken crystals. "What do we do?" "We must each touch a primary node and channel our energy into it." Daehyun pointed to large crystal formations at opposite ends of the array. You there, me here? They moved into position. As instructed by Daehyun, Jia placed both hands on the crystal and focused her thoughts on healing and renewal. The crystal warmed beneath her touch and began to glow. Across the array, Daehyun did the same. Blue energy flowed from both of them into the damaged structure. Slowly, the crystals began to reform, growing and connecting. It's working, Jia called out. Back in the control chamber, Taiho sensed the repair beginning. They've done it, he announced. The system is stabilizing. The holographic display updated, showing the Void Eaters now passing Mars. They would reach Earth in just 3 days. Will we be ready in time? Elder Suman asked. Yes, Taiho said with certainty. The defense network will be fully operational in 48 hours. 2 days later, Daehyun and Jia returned to the control chamber, exhausted but successful. The entire defense system was now online. A network of crystal structures covering the moon and extending into space around Earth. Now comes the hard part, Taiho told the assembled team. The Void Eaters will arrive tomorrow. The defense system doesn't just destroy them, it transforms them back to what they once were. Which was what? Minjae asked. Energy beings that once helped maintain balance in the galaxy, Taiho explained. Something corrupted them, turned them into consumers rather than caretakers. The defense system can reverse that corruption, but the process is dangerous. Dangerous how? Elder Suman asked. The transformation releases enormous energy. If not properly controlled, it could damage Earth. Taiho looked at each of them. I'll need all of you at your stations. Human and Ryong working together to guide the process. That night, as the team rested before the final confrontation, Taiho stood alone on the moon's surface, looking up at Earth. From here, he could see the dark patches approaching, Void Eaters, now visible as they consumed light from around the planet. Daehyun joined him. Are you afraid, Prince Taiho? Taiho smiled slightly at the title. It still felt strange. Yes, but not of dying. I'm afraid of failing. You won't fail, Daehyun said. Prince Hanul saw this moment 12,000 years ago. He knew his bloodline would return when needed most. I'm not just his bloodline, Taiho said. I'm also human. The people who sent me away as a sacrifice created who I am, just as much as Hanul's royal blood. Daehyun nodded. That is why you will succeed where Hanul could not. You understand both sides. You are the bridge. The next day, the Void Eaters arrived. From the control chamber, the team watched as dark masses surrounded Earth, beginning to dim the sunlight reaching the planet. It's time, Taiho said from the central platform. The 10 energy channelers took their positions. The rest monitored systems and prepared to manage the transformation process. Taiho raised his hands. The entire defense network responded, crystal structures glowing brighter across the moon and in space. Beams of blue light shot outward, connecting in a web around Earth. The Void Eaters reacted immediately, moving toward the energy sources. As they touched the web of light, something remarkable happened. The darkness began to change, transforming into swirling patterns of color. It's working, Jia called out. They're changing! But the process released massive energy bursts, just as Taiho had warned. The control chamber shook. Warning signals flashed across the holographic display. Energy levels critical in sectors 3 and 7, Minjae reported. The system can't handle the feedback. Redirect power through the secondary nodes, Taiho ordered. His body now glowing with blue light as he channeled enormous energy through himself. Humans and Ryong worked side by side, adjusting controls, balancing energy flows, guiding the transformation process. Hours passed in tense concentration. Finally, the last of the Void Eaters transformed. Where darkness had been, beautiful patterns of light now danced around Earth, the restored energy beings resuming their ancient role as caretakers. Taiho lowered his hands. The blue glow faded from his body and he swayed with exhaustion. Daehyun caught him before he fell. It is done, Taiho said weakly. They are healed. The team gathered around him, humans and Ryong together, all boundaries forgotten in their shared victory. What happens now? Elder Suman asked. Taiho looked at the holographic display where Earth and the transformed beings coexisted peacefully. Now we build something new. Not human, not Ryong, but something better than either alone. He thought of the settlement that had sent him away as a sacrifice, of Elder Jiwoo who had called him expendable. They had been wrong about him, just as humans and Ryong had been wrong about each other. They sent a human boy as a sacrifice. Taiho said softly, but the dragon called him Prince, and together they saved 2 worlds. As they prepared to return to Earth, Taiho knew his journey was just beginning. The boy who had once been nobody was now a bridge between species, between past and future, and for the first time in his life, he belonged.